Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Roberts, and as always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Roberts. And here on the magnificent Monday edition of the Yard, I just have no idea what we're going to talk about. Yeah, plenty to talk about. Man, what a busy weekend on the Mississippi State beat. Got a lot to say, a lot to discuss, a lot to prepare you for. I want to give you some behind-the-scenes information as well. That's why you tune in, right? It's not just for the stuff that's made public. You want to know what's really kind of going on behind the scenes. I'm going to share as much of that as I can. Hope that you guys had a great weekend, and we've got something else to look forward to on the football side. We'll talk a little bit about that. Got a cool top 10 list. We'll talk a little bit about state championships, Zach Arnett, and some Mississippi State men's basketball and women's basketball. No, we don't have an update on Josh Hubbard. Okay, let me just go ahead and lay that out there for you. We don't have an update. Our media folks will have the opportunity to speak to Chris Jans a little bit later in the week, and we hope to get an update then. Jacob Bain was there in Tupelo covering the game and said that Josh had a noticeable limp, even as in postgame. So it's where it is. It's where it is. Before we get too deep in the reads, I wanted to share a story with you. And I wish it was a happy one, but I got a call this morning. One of our Boneyard listeners, Dane Harbin, United States Marine Corps veteran, elected a path to take his life about 3 weeks ago on November 22nd. And you guys know that this cause and people are very dear to my heart. And I bring that up because, speaking to his dad, and he's like, Steve, Dane just thought you were the man. And I wish that I would have known him better. I wish I would have had the opportunity to talk to him. Not that I could have done any good, but I could have at least tried. And so I bring that up again just because of the fact, number one, consider this family in your prayers. These are Bulldog folks. And I think it's important that we look out for each other as best we can, especially in times like these. But also, too, if you are considering harming yourself or others, call or text 988. Help is available. We mention it all the time, and maybe perhaps we don't do it enough. Maybe it should be a part of every show that we just kind of remind everybody, man, life sucks sometimes. It does. And anybody that tries to convince you otherwise is being disingenuous. Man, sometimes life simply sucks. It does. But this too shall pass. There are some things that happen in life that are difficult to get through, but you will. You got to give yourself a chance. And let's not make a permanent decision over a temporary problem. I don't know what goes on in the minds of others, but I can tell you as somebody that is a suicide survivor that when I was at my lowest point, I thought, the road home was just so difficult to take. And it just seemed like the easier, softer way. And that may sound like an oversimplification of things, but it's true. I don't know what other people are living with. I don't know what other people are dealing with. And you would be amazed at some of the things that hit my inbox from time to time. Guys, there are some rotten people in the world. There are. There is evil in the world. There are people that will do their best to harm you and to rob you of your joy. And it seems like every time I turn around, I'm reading about, somebody else, violating our children. Makes me angry. It does. And it's one of those things that I wish we could find a way to deal with. And I see people all the time. They'll make these comments online or whatever, and it's like, hey, I've known or always suspected this. It's easy to say that in hindsight, but the reality of it is there are things that are going to happen in life that are beyond your own choosing. There will be things that happen to you. A lot of the biggest problems in our lives are of our own making. But there are some people out there that will victimize you and those you love. There is truth in that. And how we handle that kind of determines who we are as people. And so I share that to share this. Everybody needs somebody that they can tell everything to. Everybody. Without judgment. And with the guarantee of anonymity. Everybody needs somebody. And my hope is you have that person. But maybe you don't. DMs are always open. I'll listen. I got secrets of other people that I'll carry to my grave because I want you to get better. And I'm not some guru, but I got a love for people. And there are many of you that maybe have a difficult time trusting. I'm kind of like that too, you know? Because I know this. I know we're always ranking the pack, right? You know, it's just like we're a big pack of wolves out here, and everybody's always looking for an advantage, and you can find somebody's weakness. And so there's a lot of people out there, especially men, that have a difficulty admitting weakness. And guys, I'll be honest with you. Like when I first began to consider getting clean and sober, like I was in rehab. I didn't know if I wanted to do this. But I thought to myself, this is kind of weakness. Like I'm admitting that I'm powerless. I mean, come on, give me a break. But there was a part of me, I was like, you know, I should just be more of a man. I should be able to hold my liquor. I should be able to handle these things, these chemicals I'm putting in my body, you know, that maybe I'm not as strong as I think. And little did I find out that I was a lot stronger than I ever believed that I was capable of being, and being able to walk away from all that stuff. And if I make it to Wednesday, it'll be 34 years clean and sober. And it's important that you know that, not in any way in praise of me, but to know that there is hope and that things can work and things can change. And so I share all of that with you because I love you. I do. Even if we've never met, even if you don't love me back, I still love you. There is enough love in my heart for all of you. And I don't want bad things to happen to you. But inevitably something bad is going to happen. And you need friends, you need a support system. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some people around you, at least it's been my experience. There are some people around you that really aren't your friends. You know, they're just kind of acquaintances of convenience. And then, of course, they find out something and can't wait to go tell somebody. You know, so you got to be careful who you trust. But you still have to have someone you can trust explicitly. You have to have somebody. You know, whether that's a pastor, whether that's a therapist, whether that's a best friend, maybe that's somebody lives across the country that's outside of your normal circle of influence. It gives you plausibility, deniability. I don't know. But you have to have somebody you can tell everything to. Because I know that I speak for every one of us. We would rather get the call at 3 a.m. that you were struggling than to find out the next day that you had taken your life. We'd much rather be inconvenienced by that than to have to go attend your funeral. Because we love you. We do. And I just think to myself, when I think back to around this time in 1991, how incredibly despondent and alone that I felt. I'm checked into rehab at 6'2", 146 pounds. I just wasn't eating. And wasn't that I didn't have money. Wasn't that I didn't have a way to support myself. My life was so incredibly unmanageable. And I had nearly wrecked it. I had some co-conspirators, but at the end of the day, it was all my decisions. But I was so far away from where I needed to be that any step I took was in the right direction. And maybe that's where you find yourself today. Please, please, please talk to somebody. Please. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show. We love Bulldog Burger Company. We have for a long time. They will cure what ails you. You got a hankering for some great food. Look no further than Bulldog Burger Company. Part of the Eat With Us group, and reminder is we're 17 days away from Christmas. You've got that difficult to buy for a friend or family member, get them an Eat With Us gift card. Eatwithus.com. You can order the gift cards there. You can get one that's just for Bulldog Burger Company. You can get one that's good at all of their wonderful restaurants. It's a great gift idea. But as you think about your holiday travels, think about stopping in at Bulldog Burger Company so you look your best in your Christmas photos, because you need to get those spring rolls. And you know as well as I do, some of you have been lacking in your spring roll intake, and it shows. And being your friend here, eat more spring rolls. They'll make you better looking. Find your own favorites on that great menu, great restaurant quality hamburgers available to you unlike anywhere else. If you're a newbie to Bulldog Burger Company, go with the Bulldog. You can't go wrong with that. If you want to branch out a little bit, the Pimentology Ed Bacon is a favorite of mine. Yeah, the Bryant, the Lauren. There's so many great options to choose from, and maybe you're not feeling like a burger when everybody else is. Get that BLT salad. I prefer it grilled. You may like it fried. Completely up to you how you handle it, though. And get that chocolate shake to go. You can ride that ride home with a smile. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. Okay. Let's start with the bowl game stuff. Okay, so when I went to bed, what is today? Monday. Went to bed Saturday night. The last thing that I thought that I'd be writing on Sunday is an opponent preview for a football game. This is a gift. This is an absolute gift. And I've seen some people out there, we should decline. No, we shouldn't. There's no good reason to decline the bowl invitation. Zero. There's nothing to gain from that. We hadn't been in the last 2 years. They're like, well, Steve, we didn't earn it. Well, technically we did. Not enough bowl-eligible teams to go around. So then they consider 5 and 7 teams with the highest academic progress report. And guess what? When the dust settled, your Bulldogs were picked to go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We've been there before back in 2015 when it was called the Belk Bowl. They gave me a gift card to Belk, too. That was cool. That was a nice gift. Makes me wonder what they're going to give me this year. But we won't look a gift horse in the mouth. If they give us a gallon of mayonnaise, we'll just bring it home. But all that understood, this is absolutely a wild turn of events. So I woke up Saturday morning, and a friend of mine had shared with me, he goes, hey, Mississippi State is like 5th on the list to get an APR bowl. And I'm like, yeah, we're 5th, but there's just no way. He said, look at the teams that are ahead of you guys. You got a lot of teams that made a coaching change. And as they're kind of preparing and getting settled with the new staff, they don't know the personnel there. They can't implement an offense or a defense. He goes, I'm telling you, this thing may work out for you guys. So then I reach out to some folks at Mississippi State and said, hey, if we get the bowl invitation, would we accept? Because I'm not going to spend my day chasing all the probabilities if Zach Selman and everybody, Terry Prentice, everybody involved in Mississippi State sports is like, now we're going to pass on this. No. So you find out, yeah, if we're extended an invitation, we would absolutely take it. So the next thing you know, you look at the numbers and say, well, there's Kansas State up there, and Chris Kleiman retired. And if you're a subscriber to genespage.com, you knew ahead of time that there was a possibility that Chris Kleiman was going to retire and be replaced by former Kansas State quarterback and current Texas A&M offensive coordinator Colin Klein. If you were a subscriber to GeneSpage, you already knew that. That'll be important later in our show. Well, then they opt out. Well, Matt Campbell from Iowa State just took the job at Penn State and is expected to take most, if not all, of his staff with him. And so there's a lot of uncertainties within the program. They went 8-4. So now all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, well, we went from 5th to 3rd. We're in spot number 3 for 2 bowl games. What are the chances other people opt out? Well, find out that Auburn, if offered, was going to decline the invitation. So now it's like, hey, we're in. We're in. And, of course, Central Florida was ahead of us, too. They had to kind of get further down the list and got Appalachian State to go play in the Birmingham Bowl against Georgia Southern. And to be honest with you, I was rooting for the Birmingham Bowl. It'd be a day trip for all of us, and I thought more of you could come rather than go to Charlotte. But, not going to lift a gift horse in the mouth. And then we find out that Notre Dame opts out. And these people are like, I'm just so proud. No, there's nothing to be proud of. There's nothing to be proud of with Notre Dame opting out. So we didn't get our way, so we're just going to take our ball and go home. You have robbed your seniors of their final game. If I was an AP voter, and I'm not, because I'm not in the print media, Notre Dame would not be in my final top 25. Absolutely not. There's no way you can reward that. And people are like, well, Steve, you don't understand. No, I don't think you understand. Do you go back to the 2021 college baseball season? Do you remember that? The year that Mississippi State wins a national championship. Do you recall who we beat in the Super Regional? That's right, Notre Dame. What you may have forgotten is that Notre Dame canceled all but 3 midweek games so they could save their pitching for ACC weekends. And if you don't think that's an advantage, you're kidding yourself. And then the D1 Baseball Committee said, you know what, we're not going to set a bad precedent here and reward them for canceling midweek games. Because if Mississippi State or LSU or Arkansas just decided, hey, we're not going to play midweek games, we're going to save all of our pitching for the weekends, there would be blood in the baseball streets. And then they didn't get to be a top 8, and they cried about it, and they came here and they lost. They were a great team, don't get me wrong. But this is kind of where Notre Dame has come. You know, the program that gave us Rudy, you know, a story of profiling courage, is decided we're not going to play football. If we don't get to be in the playoffs, then you guys don't get to see us on TV. Well, bully for you. And it's so stupid. Like I'm reading some of these Notre Dame fans. Well, the ESPN is like constantly advocating for the SEC. So because you idiots decided to opt out, there's another SEC bowl team. You're doing it to yourself, kids. You are. Then we begin to find out that it's either going to be Birmingham or Charlotte. And, of course, Charlotte takes priority. You know, the Birmingham Bowl is like the last to pick. And the former Hall of Fame Bowl that we played in 1981. And so all of a sudden we find out, hey, announcement at 2. We had our story ready. We were good to go. And I tweeted out, for those of you that follow me on X, I tweeted out a GIF of Camario Taylor with the Showtime sign behind him, like the moment that it was confirmed with me that, yes, Mississippi State was going to be in a bowl game. Wasn't sure against who or where, but we knew we were in the bowl field. And so while I didn't just come out and say it, my hope is that many of you understood the context clues behind that. Of course, I saw Cub people say, is this about the soccer coach? I'm not going to make fun of you, even though you probably deserve to be. Why would I use a football GIF for soccer? In the middle of all the bowl pairings, why would I use that GIF? Right? I mean, I'm not trying to make you feel silly, even though you were. Football GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to call them, are for football events. Baseball for baseball. If I was celebrating the soccer hire, which I'm happy about, I would have used a soccer GIF. Okay? Let's make sure we understand each other. So when I tweet out a GIF of Jake Mangum, it means that we have a baseball commitment. If I tweet out the Slash guitar thing, it's a football commitment. And sometimes I forget to do it. I get so busy writing a story and trying to coordinate stuff. Sometimes I forget. But when I tweet out something with Camario Taylor on it, my hope is that many of you, most of you did, maybe 95% of you, like, Steve knows something. Maybe this is going to work out. It did. So now we get ready to go play Wake Forest for just the second time ever in school history. Of course, 2011, we played them in a Music City Bowl. And really, to be honest with you, State got down 7-0 in that game, and it was all State the rest of the way. Like, you look at the box score and you think, well, hey, this is a little close. It really wasn't. Vic Ballard, the most outstanding player of the game, a couple touchdowns, 180 yards. He just pretty much ran all over them. Ralph didn't have a great game, but a good game. We had 4 turnovers in the game. That's the only thing that kept Wake Forest in the game. But, we get to go play them again. And as we get closer, we will profile them a little bit. Robbie Ashford is the quarterback. Remember him? State offered him out of high school. I think it was actually Sylvester Croom that offered him. No, I'm kidding. But, he was a member of the 2020 class and then signed with Oregon, transferred to Auburn, then went to South Carolina, then landed at Wake Forest. And so He's had a good year. They're 8-4. And I don't know how good the ACC is this year. I don't think it's great. But State's favored in the game at this point by 2.5. The line opened at 2.5 in favor of State. And so I encourage you, if you're on the fence about going, it's January 2nd. It's a Friday. You're going to be off on New Year's. Most of you will probably get the Friday anyway. And if not, go ahead and put in your request. And then maybe travel on New Year's Day. You can enjoy New Year's Eve. Maybe travel on New Year's Day. Get some Pedialyte for the ride over there. Ball game Friday night. And then you got the weekend to spend in Charlotte or maybe wherever you want. So be thinking about that. Be planning for that. And, of course, we'll have plenty of bowl practice coverage. I'm excited about that. We already kind of shifting our coverage, kind of preparing for portal stuff. And then we get this gift laid in our laps. And, I've met a couple comments yesterday on social media. Some people were like, well, we shouldn't accept. And one guy just said, listen, you don't have to go. You can just stay home. And that's the thing that I think about. It's like it's not a matter of personal opinion, right? Nobody polled the fans to see if we wanted to go. You'll vote with your attendance, or you won't. But Mississippi State needs to play this game. We need to get all the practice we can get, especially as we're getting ready for a new era of Mississippi State football. All of that is extremely important. No, I don't know what Blake Shapen is going to do. No, I don't know who is going to be the primary play caller on defense. I don't know those things yet. We haven't had a press briefing with Jeff Levy. We will at some point soon once they get the practice schedule kind of set up. And that's the great thing, too, when you begin to consider the fact this game is on January 2nd. We should be able to get the full complement of practices in. We've had some bowl games in the past, or we got about half of them or less. So this is good. It's still football season in Starkville, Mississippi. Now, of course, a lot of things out there, a lot of things going on. And maybe because you were so incredibly locked in yesterday about what was happening with Mississippi State, maybe you didn't keep up what happened with the rest of the conference yesterday. So real quickly, we'll kind of run down a couple things just to kind of get you in tune here. And there's no availability report the rest of the way, just so you guys know too. So we're going to sit here and knock this out here. So here are your SEC bowl game assignments. I'm just happy to be in it, right? I mean, you wake up and you're like, what? This is a possibility? Yeah, man, yeah. Then you start doing some deductive reasoning. You're like, yeah, this could work out. This could work out. And then it does. All right. So here is how it works. First round playoff games. Alabama at Oklahoma. I don't know that they did the Tide any favors. Oklahoma's been good against Alabama the last 2 years, and it'll be absolutely rocking. And I go back to beginning of the year when people were talking about Castiglione retiring, and because Joe wants to be there when they have the playoff game. And I was like, playoffs? You kidding me? I was like Jim Mora about the whole thing. Playoffs? Well, lo and behold, they make the playoffs, and now they're going to host the game against Alabama. That'll take place December the 19th. That's a 7 p.m. Central kick. You can find it on ESPN. And then Texas A&M on December 20th will host Miami. They ought to be pretty familiar with each other after the last couple of years. That's December 20th. It's going to be 11 a.m. kick. And then the afternoon game is Tulane at Ole Miss. Now, here's the thing. I know some of you are like, got a lot to say about this, and I do too. Ole Miss should have dropped. They should have absolutely been included in the playoff. But they dropped from 6 to 7, then go back to 6. How can you justify what you did to Florida State, and then Ole Miss has no repercussions or consequences from the coaching change? At the end of the day, people are like, they shouldn't be able to play Tulane. The bracket's a bracket. Now, the one qualm I would have about this is the committee should have had him play Tulane. Maybe you haven't played James Madison because Tulane and Ole Miss have already played this year. I think you could have done a little more creative with the parents. But to suggest that Ole Miss doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs is just disingenuous. They went 11-1. They did. And you can say what you want to about that schedule, but you know what? If we had it, we'd be happy with that too. All right, so the Sugar Bowl will be the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Tulane Ole Miss winner. We'll go ahead and pencil in Ole Miss there because in case you didn't know, a lot of changes at Tulane too. All right, going to the Gator Bowl will be Missouri. The Texas Bowl will have OSU. Music City Bowl is Tennessee. ReliaQuest Bowl will be Vanderbilt. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl will be Texas versus Michigan. And then, of course, the Duke's Mayo Bowl is us versus Wake Forest. And, so a lot going on here. A lot of teams playing some meaningful games. I'm just happy we're getting to play another game, if that makes sense to you guys. And I know it does because it's something you didn't expect to happen. And kind of running through the rest of these assignments here before we get to our top 10 list today. Just because you guys will want to do your bowl pick'em thing, so we'll have the bowl season to kind of work through all that stuff and talk about that. It gives us plenty to talk about, and it's so nice that Mississippi State is still involved in all that. But I didn't expect to ever be in a situation that we were a 5-7 APR bowl team again. It just happened in 16, 9 years ago when we won the St. Petersburg Bowl. And that's one of those weeks, too. We had to travel on Christmas. That's one of those deals where we were just kind of happy to be there. We just kind of felt like, you know what? We just beat Ole Miss. We could live with that. Man, it'd be great to go win a bowl game. We did. All right, looking at some of these matchups here. The Myrtle Beach Bowl's got Memphis at NC State. There was some talk that, like, if we went to Birmingham, we may have Memphis. But as mentioned, Alabama at Oklahoma, Miami at Texas A&M, Tulane at Ole Miss. Wouldn't it be something if James Madison won at Oregon? That'd be ridiculous. It'd be absolutely ridiculous. It would be great. And how about all three Mississippi schools in a bowl game this year? Western Kentucky at Southern Miss in the Boca Raton Bowl. That's not right. It's going to be in New Orleans. I guess it is the Boca Raton Bowl, but it's played in New Orleans. I don't know. I don't know why people do what they do. But getting deeper into this thing, UConn's going to be at Army. Well, why does that matter? Well, because there's a coach at UConn that's going to be joining the Mississippi State staff. More on that later. Virginia and Missouri in the New Mexico Bowl. That's a long way to travel. I don't understand this at all. This is ESPN's got this totally wrong. Totally wrong. Yeah, so it's the Gator Bowl. North Texas and San Diego State are going to be in a New Mexico Bowl. It made no sense in Missouri there. It's just listed wrong. All right, so Virginia at Missouri in the Gator Bowl, and then LSU at Houston in the Texas Bowl. That could be interesting. I mean, it really could. Y'all must want to take Houston in that game. I do. Tennessee and Illinois will play in a Music City. Yeah, you kind of like Tennessee there. I do. You kind of like Tennessee there. Of course, Michigan and Texas in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I had some Cheez-Its over the weekend. Maybe you should enjoy that too. And we'll kind of see how things play out the rest of the way. But, I mean, some interesting matchups. But I love bowl season. Some people say there are too many bowls. That's like saying there's too much ice cream. I like football. I like fun. And I like to see these matchups I don't ordinarily get to see. I mean, a good example is us playing Wake Forest again. Both times have been in the postseason. You get matchups you don't ordinarily get to see. And listen, I do have some SEC pride when it comes to the national championship. Like, I don't care if anybody else in the SEC wins their bowl game because the payout is the same. And there will be people in the Facebook groups, though well-intended, will be completely wrong, saying, hey, if they win, it's more money for us. If they're not in the playoff, it's not more money for us. But the other bowl games itself, the check's already cut. So win or lose, it's not a purse. It's not a boxing match. The payout is the same. And it goes to the league, not directly to the school. That's, again, I don't know why that escapes people. We've been doing it this way for decades. It's not a new formula, guys. But yeah, so I don't really care if the rest of the SEC teams win their bowl games, but we'll be pulling for everybody in the playoff with the exception of Ole Miss here at the Boneyard home offices. I hope that you'll do the same. All right, it's time for our Close with Blair Player of the Day, brought to you by closewithblair.com. You need to check out Blair Chandler Services. Blair recently made the move to Fairway Mortgage, running his own operation now. Business is good. 601-500-2344. 601-500-2344. Give Blair's 25 years of know-how and expertise working for you to help make the dream of home ownership a reality. Maybe in the past, maybe you just weren't quite ready, or maybe you had the wrong loan originator. Yeah, Blair, thus the name Close with Blair, gets things done. He can be your advocate with underwriting. He can help get you ready to purchase a home and get you that pre-qualification letter that makes everybody's life so much easier, right? You know you're shopping within your means. Already got your financing approved. Everything is grand when you get that pre-qualification letter. See your real estate agent jump into orbit when you get that letter. Whether you're looking for your first home, your next home, your retirement home, or perhaps that game day condo, Blair Chandler, the only name to know in mortgage loan origination. He's a Bulldog through and through, multiple season ticket holder in multiple sports, has a place here in town, rides a wave of Bulldog emotion just like you. Blair Chandler at closewithblair.com. Our Close with Blair Player of the Day. We're going to go with Isaac Smith. I'll tell you a little bit why. Isaac Smith obviously has a decision to make. Isaac Smith is a young man that ton of NFL buzz, banged up a little bit this year. He's dropped some in the projections. Of course, he's got some people in his ear trying to get him to make a move. You know, like, hey, get in the portal and come here, and we'll help you. I'm curious to see what Zach Arnett's interaction with Isaac are going to be. I would lean more towards Isaac being a Bulldog, but I can't say for certain that's the case. Guys of his stature and his character are going to get some people in his ear. So we need Isaac to remain a Bulldog. We need Isaac to help lead us into a new era. He has been an incredibly great ambassador for Mississippi State. We hope that continues in the year to come. If you're Close with Blair Player of the Day, Isaac Smith of Itawamba Agricultural High School there in Fulton, Mississippi. Time for today's Top 10 list, brought to you by Calido Guitars. That's Calido Guitars.com. They're a stringed instrument store. They specialize in guitars, but it doesn't matter what stringed instrument that you are a player, they can take care of you. I'm a guitar player. I'm not a great one. I enjoy playing, and once I get this tennis elbow situation behind me, I will resume playing. I don't want to aggravate the situation. I got out there on Friday, carried that camera around to football games, kind of inflamed everything. So we're kind of back where we were with our treatment methods. But so Calido Guitars has been great to me, and they've been great to other Boneyard listeners. Guys, you got 17 days till Christmas. Stop procrastinating. Stop being on the fence. Just go ahead and buy the guitar. Okay, buy the guitar. It's going to rejuvenate your player's interest in the guitar. Whether you're looking for a beginner guitar, an intermediate guitar, or a professional grade guitar, you can find it all at Calido Guitars. And there are other stringed instruments as well that you can get from them at a discount. Use promo code BSR, you know it well, Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you a 10% Ken Folks discount off their already low price. That gets you no sales tax unless you live in the state of Texas. That gets you free shipping. And they're going to make a 5% donation of your purchase price to the Bulldog Excellence Fund. Man, what a great incentive. You've never had a promo code that unlocked more wonderful things than that one. And we want to thank Daniel and everybody involved at Calido Guitars for being a part of our show. I'm very, very grateful to have found them as a partner. And at the end of the day, man, I got my dream guitar. The Steve Vai Signature Original with the monkey grip. And I got a picture the other day of him playing that same model on stage. I'm jacked, man. Make your guitar player's dreams come true. Again, visit KalitoGuitars.com today and begin finding your next instrument. All right, you may know this by now. I am from Columbia, Mississippi. I am a 1990 graduate of Columbia High School. We had a couple good years. 88 and 89 were good. Joey Porter showed up, and we ran the Notre Dame box offense. He showed up from South Natchez, and good things happened. But there was a time there was kind of tough. We won a state championship in 82 and kind of had some lean years after that. But we got Chip Bilderback as our coach, the husband of Southern Miss women's basketball coach Missy Bilderback. And Chip was our coach back in 21 when we won the state championship with Jaheim Otis. And so we've won it again. We've won it again. And so we're going to celebrate the Cats today with a top 10 list about Wildcats. You probably didn't know there were that many songs out there. Well, some of them are a little bit of a stretch, but most of them are right where we want them to be. Right where we want them to be. So top 10 songs about Wildcats. We're going to go back a couple decades, more than a couple. It's Hank Penny's Wildcat Mama. She's a Wildcat Mama, and she's the meanest woman in town. She's a Wildcat Mama. All the wives want her to leave town. Yeah. Maybe exactly the kind of woman you're looking for. Be sure and check out Hank Penny's Wildcat Mama. Number 9, an instrumental. Thought we'd work it in. It's kind of cool. It's got a bit of a, kind of got that sound bite from Black Cat from Janet Jackson, which is a great video. Janet Jackson's never made a bad video, ever in her life. Ever. But it's Rat-a-Tat, Wildcat. Instrumental song, kind of interesting. I think you'll enjoy it. Number 8, and for those of you that played Rock Band with your kids, you know this song well because you probably got sick and tired of having to play it on every single set list for a while in the beginning. But it's Squeeze's track, Cool for Cats. I don't think the song is that great, but I thought it'd give us a chance to talk about Rock Band a little bit. Some of my favorite memories as a father is getting on the bass guitar and playing Rock Band with my kids. We kept buying more instruments and having more interfaces because we wanted to play. And it's like, even now sometimes when we go to Ani's house, we play Rock Band as a family. And it's fun. It's fun. But I hate having to do Cool for Cats all the time. All right, number 7. This will make B.J. Cummings happy. He says I don't do enough jam band stuff. Well, it doesn't appeal to most people, B.J. I mean, you're welcome to be weird. I love you just the same. But it's Jerry Garcia's Cats Under the Stars. This is Jerry Garcia band. Of course, Jerry, part of the Grateful Dead. But it's a cool track. For a jam band track, it's pretty cool. All right, number 6 is The Cure. And The Cure sent a couple tracks about cats. And Ian Robertson, my youngest, hit me up a while back and said he kind of got into The Cure. And I was jacked about that because I love The Cure too. My favorite Cure song is Fascination Street, and it's not even close. I love it, man. But The Cure is just kind of a vibe, as the kids say. You could just put on any Cure album, especially those from the 80s, and just let them play. And Robert Smith's great. But it's Love Cats from The Cure. Love Cats, number 6. All right, number 5. We're going back a few years for this one too. It's Charlie Walker's Wild as a Wildcat. This is a cool song too. Like this is a really cool song. I think you'll have some fun with that. It's it's basic recording technology. So there's a few hisses and things like that. But I think it's a cool track. A song that was somewhat unfamiliar to me, but I like it. And for those of you that kind of like this new brand of country, I think you're going to like it too. That's why it's number 4 on my list. It's Wyatt Flores' song, Wildcat. It's an up-tempo, good-timing track, and maybe you should dig deeper into the catalog of one young Wyatt Flores. All right, number 3. When I worked as a program director at WCJU, that's WCJU, we had this song in our playlist, and I inherited a lot of that. And but this is an artist that was kind of like Bread and a little bit like America, but it was very much adult contemporary. But this is a song that was regular in the rotation. But it's Al Stewart's Year of the Cat, and that kind of matches the Columbia High School Wildcats winning the state championship again. It's the Year of the Cat, baby. Number 2, I remember when this song came out. It was a big hit, and the older I get, the more I appreciate it. You know, Brian Setzer, of course, the founder and leader of the Stray Cats. And we're going with Stray Cat Strut because, yes, Columbia High School folks are pretty jacked these days, as we should be. We're state champions again. But number 1, a song that's true for everybody in Marion County. And some people won't admit it, and that's okay. You know, we got some rival schools down there, one in particular across the river. I remember dating some girls across the river, and I was told by some of the young men there that I wasn't welcome to date those girls. Well, it sucked to be you, because I did. But it's Scatman Crothers from Aristocats. Everybody wants to be a cat. That's true. It's true. Everybody, even those who live in the county, really want to be a Wildcat. You can say what you want to, but we're stacking up state championships, baby. And as long as Chip is there, we're going to be a contender. And hey, we're having to deal with Louisville, right? I mean, Louisville, we kind of got, I think, a break that Louisville didn't win this year. But hey, we're rolling through this thing. And our rival school is West Marion. And just for those of you that don't know, West Marion's never won the state championship. They had a good year this year. They won their district, but it didn't work out. And they lost to Seminary, second round of the playoffs. East Marion, of course, under the legendary Coach Les Peters, graduated with his son. They won a couple state championships in 91 and 2006 and played for some others. But, not necessarily a great year this year. They made the playoffs and made the third round. Got beat by Mize. But, it's a good thing, man. It is. I like the fact that we have, some quality teams, back home. I've often said that if we could find a way to consolidate the schools, and there's some people that want to do that, you really talk about a powerhouse. That's what I believe. But Columbia Academy won the state championship back in 1978. So that's your 4 high schools there in Marion County. One of them has won 3. One has won 2. One has won 1, and one has won 0. And the one that hasn't won is our rival school, the West Marion Trojans. We want to thank them for giving us Colby White. Love Colby. I got some friends that live out in Foxworth, but I can tell you that rivalry runs pretty deep. It does. But as I've gotten older, it's kind of softened a little bit at my old age. I'm kind of happy when West Marion wins. It's not against us. Happy that we can win that game, win the county championship, and then they go on to some cool things. But anyway, very, very happy about the state championships. We'll talk a little bit about that in our potpourri segment to end the show. We got to give some flowers to some other teams out there that had a big weekend at Davis Wade Stadium. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Again, reminder, Mom, 17 days till Christmas. Make shopping easy for yourself to get all the Bulldogs on your Christmas list exactly what they want, and that is more Mississippi State gear. It's true. Soon you'll be able to get bowl shirts from Campus Bookmart. Miss Kathy Brown will be all over that. Everybody wants to go to the bowl game too, so be thinking about that. But whether it's a quarter zip a new hoodie, or just gift ideas to kind of fill out the fan cave, you can find it all at Campus Bookmart. Go by and see them next time you're in town, or visit them on the World Wide Web, courtesy of Al Gore's Internet, at campusbookmart.net. By being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that is BSR. And that gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than $75, absolutely incomplete. That's Campus Bookmart. All right, let's talk about Zach Arnett. I don't know how you guys feel about Zach Arnett coming back. I'm excited about it. And I think it's important not to let 2023 kind of taint your opinion of Zach Arnett. One of the reasons that we all were so supportive of Zach Arnett as the interim and eventual head coach is because of the fact that he did a good job as our defensive coordinator. And we'll have the Arnett file up soon, and got some big numbers. I'm going to run some things down for you while I have you here as a captive audience. Just some interesting stuff here that was sent along to me. So here we go. It's a lot. All right, Arnett's numbers over his 3 years as our defensive coordinator. He was number 5 in the SEC in total defense each season, 2020, 21, and 2022. Number 3 in the SEC in lowest percentage of big plays allowed at under 12%. Number 3 in the SEC in lowest percentage, yeah. Number 5 in lowest percentage of scoring drives allowed at 36%. Number 5 in the SEC in lowest percentage of touchdown drives allowed, just under 25%. Number 5 in the SEC in percentage of 3-and-outs forced, just over 21%. Number 5 in the SEC in percentage of points forced, just over 38%. Number 4 in the SEC in percentage of turnovers, just under 18%. Number 5 in the SEC in points per possession allowed at 1.8. Number 5 in the SEC in opponent quarterback rating, 87. Number 1 in the SEC in fewest games allowing 40 points or more, 3. Number 1 in the SEC in fewest games allowing 50 or more points. How about that? Number 3 in the SEC in percentage of interceptions forced. Number 4 in the SEC in fewest yards per rush allowed, 3.71. Number 5 in the SEC in fewest yards per play allowed. Number 5 in the SEC in fewest total touchdowns allowed in a season. Well, I guess there's 2 there. Yeah. Number 3 in the SEC, fewest rushing yards allowed per game at 125. Number 5 in the SEC in fewest red zone drives allowed per game, 3.27. Number 5 in the SEC in fewest red zone points per drive allowed. Number 5 in the SEC in lowest red zone touchdown percentage at 57%. Number 4 in the SEC in highest percentage of 2 minutes or less drives. Number 5 in the SEC in percentage of drives resulting in a turnover. Number 5 in the SEC in highest percentage of 25 yards or less drives allowed at 50%. Number 5 in the SEC in percentage of drives that did not result in a score at 66%. Number 1 in the SEC in percentage of disaster plays, and that's any play that results in turnover or safety, forced. Number 4 in the SEC in percentage of inefficient plays, forced. Number 3 in the SEC in front 7 efficiency rating. Number 5 in the SEC in percentage of possessions ending in a turnover, 3-and-out, or a 4th down stop at 39%. Number 4 in the SEC in possessions that the defense forced a turnover, created a 3-and-out, made a 4th down stop per game at 4.7. And number 5 in the SEC in percentage of games with 4 plus 3-and-outs forced at 29%. So that's a lot of numbers, but it's all indicative of the fact that we were good on defense. And there were some times we weren't great on offense. And now you begin to think about kind of marrying this thing together. And listen, I'll never forget the 2023 season. Did Arnett make some mistakes as a head coach? He absolutely did. But I am very grateful that Zach Arnett stood up for us in our time of need after the passing of Mike Leach. And there were some people around him that obviously had some insight It proved to be a mistake. But the guy can coach defense. He can absolutely coach defense. Now, there were really only a handful of guys that were seriously considered for the position. Obviously, DJ Durkin. That makes perfect sense, right? And Jeff Lebby has a relationship with DJ Durkin. And so, yes, he was pursued. He elects to stay at Auburn. He has kids that are in high school. He's made his money. And I'm told that his wife doesn't want to leave Auburn unless they have to, or for a head coaching position. So there you go. The Brett Pry stuff kind of got out there, and it was a little bit overcharacterized, to be honest with you. Yeah, we did reach out. We inquired with him, and he already had the opportunity to stay at Virginia Tech. He was the head coach there. He got fired, but he's got 14 years of experience with James Franklin. They worked it out. And so, yeah, we talked to him, but it never really got that far along in the process. I know some other people will argue, and that's certainly their right to do so, but Brett Pry is staying at Virginia Tech. And I was told, what's today? Monday? I was told Thursday that there were two coaches out there that would take the job right now, that we'd already talked to. We're just working through what we felt was best. By Friday, Zach Arnett was emerging as the top candidate. It was a very sensitive situation. And then calls began to be made Friday evening from Zach Arnett himself to some Mississippi State donors, people at times that he hunted with. And he was jubilantly letting them know that he was returning. Wasn't official yet, but by the time we got to Saturday morning, it was. That's the reality of the situation. And I bring that up, and I mentioned earlier, about there's some things that were kind of happening in the college coaching world. I was happy to sit this coaching search out and grateful that we were not conducting one. But I got a lot of friends that live in that world. And so as I began to dig around for all of you to kind of find out heads or tails of what's happening with the whole, Lane Kiffin situation, people were like, hey, here's some other things too. And so if you remember genespage.com, you were kind of ahead of that, like the Chris Kleiman stuff, right? You guys were, you were excited to just kind of learn some things about happening around college football, just kind of like Eric Morris being the guy to beat for the Oklahoma State job. Just like from the beginning, as I said on Bo Bound's show and on genespage.com, we thought Charles Huff would have the opportunity as these jobs begin to backfill. And Memphis and South Florida were two schools that we mentioned in connection with Huff. Well, now, lo and behold, he's headed to Memphis. And so we've got people that are involved in this process. We've developed a network of sources over the years. And we found out Arnett pretty much the same way we find out everything else when it comes to coaching searches. And we share that with you over at Gene's page. Now, the reality of it is, the very first thing that I said when Pete Thamel's tweet was shared with me first thing Saturday morning was not a word that I can use on this show, because I did not have David Murray go ahead and pre-write a story, and part of that was just me being careful. I didn't want it to get out and then things fall apart, but the reality of that is Zach Arnett is here, and it's not about who gets credit for breaking what story. Pete Thamel broke this news. We didn't know for sure that Zach was going to be officially hired until Saturday morning. You hear things Friday, and you begin to think, well, this is something to keep up with. And Jacob Bain and I spoke about it on the way to the state championship games on Friday. But at the end of the day, it's not about who gets the credit. Jeff Lebby has hired Zach Arnett to coach this defense. There will be some schematic changes. There's going to be some priorities in the portal that change now that we're not going to be running the Coleman Hutzler scheme. One of those things is we're going to have to go out there and get a sure bona fide nose guard to kind of eat up space in the middle. Calvin Dinkins is pretty good, but we've got to go get a war daddy in the middle there. As you know, things are going to change. And the fact that when you look at how well the corners played in this scheme over the years, and of course, Darcel McBath is not with us. Love Darcel. Still maintain a relationship with Darcel. But if you go back and look at the corners, Emmanuel Forbes, DeCamerion Richardson, Bryce Pollock. There's a lot of guys in there that kind of thrived in this scheme. And I think sometimes people forget how good we were defensively in 2023. It just kind of got masked over the fact that we made the poor decision to change the offensive scheme under Kevin Barbay when we had guys that had, multiple years experience in the air raid. That's honestly, if we stick with the air raid, Zach Arnett might still be your coach. Perhaps. Matt Brock, of course, is defensive coordinator in 2023. Yes, he is expected to head back to Mississippi State and coach the linebackers. Zach Arnett will not have positional responsibilities. He will oversee the full defense. And the question everybody asks now is, how involved will he be in bowl prep? Well, we're not going to have time to install a new defensive scheme in December. There may be some wrinkles that we add, and Zach obviously will be part of the game plan and things of that nature, and give him a chance to kind of evaluate the personnel that we have here and then begin to think about, what we need to go procure in the portal. But, it's a significant development, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. There are a few people out there that are just totally against it, and I think a lot of it just stems from our frustration in 2023 of going 5-7, seeing the bowl game snaps streaked, and we were absolutely terrible on the road at A&M. And that's one of those things that I go back to. I informed the staff that Max Johnson was not going to play. And instead, we prepared for Max Johnson, and we got absolutely run out of the stadium at College Station. And I put on my own message board, this cannot continue. And that's a little bit out on a limb for me publicly. I may say some things privately, but I don't always come out here publicly and say things that I think are very, very critical. We kind of call it as it is, but I really wanted it to work for Arnett. I really did. And I think the way that we handled the Will Rogers situation was not very good. Will obviously had the opportunity to come in and do some big things and probably break the SEC passing record in 2023, but we dramatically changed the offense. Well, Arnett's just going to be on the defensive side of the football now. And he has proven to be a very talented defensive coordinator. And you remember when Mike Leach hired him, if you go back to the beginning of this, the one defensive coordinator that Mike Leach really respected above all others was Rocky Long. So he reached out to Rocky, and Rocky recommended Zach Arnett. Zach had already accepted a job at Syracuse. However, Syracuse had not had him sign an MOU or a contract or anything. And so Mike Leach goes out and gets him. And I remember the Syracuse people kind of being beside themselves when I reported that Zach Arnett was coming, because they thought that everything was on the up and up and that he was going to be there. Instead, he ends up here. And if you recall, in 2020, John Cohen had the foresight to go ahead and sign Zach to an extension. And at the end of that year in 2020, a lot of people came at him, including Ed Orgeron. And I remember Ben Portnoy going to the airport and kind of ambushing Arnett at the airport as he's getting ready to fly to Baton Rouge. And he goes down there, and the LSU people are like, well, that buyout situation, that's going to be resolved. And I said then, and on this show and in my reporting, that anybody that thought that John Cohen was going to negotiate a buyout to let Zach Arnett go to an SEC opponent was kidding themselves. I mean, you talk about delusional. Anybody that would have hired Zach Arnett was going to pay every penny of that buyout. Zach remains on, ends up signing another extension, and eventually gets to become the interim coach. And I commend him for what he did to keep the team, the roster, and the coaching staff together to go win that ReliaQuest Bowl. And I also remember, too, Steve Spurrier Jr. calling a timeout with 7 seconds to go instead of 3. And ultimately, we had to kick off, but it netted a touchdown for us in the end, if you recall, is they ran the lateral play and then let the ball hit the ground, and we scoop it up, and Marcus Banks runs it back for a touchdown. So my honest opinion is I think it will work, and I think the best thing for us to do is just to kind of, hand out a merit of grace for what happened in 2023. Zach Arnett didn't pursue the job. We went to him. We went to him to kind of keep the roster in place, and then we can argue if that was a good decision or not. But the reality of that is we did the best we could under the circumstances. And you'd say, Steve, no class is worth all that. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, it has, in hindsight, it's proven to have been a bad decision. And I think a lot of it stems from the schematic changes. Again, defensively, we were great for 4 years. I just read you the numbers. And you go back and look at the 2023 numbers when Matt Brock's calling the plays, we were really good then too. And so I think it's important for us to kind of look at it for what it is and not for maybe how we remember 2023 from a total team concept. We put Will Rogers in very difficult situations with some of the things we asked him to do. If we had stuck with what he was good at, it's probably a different conversation today. And probably your feelings about Zach Arnett are different. But no matter how you feel today, he is your defensive coordinator, and we're getting ready to go win some football games. So, yes, I do think he will be involved with bowl prep. I do not think that he is going to be the primary play caller. We don't know that for sure. We haven't spoken to Jeff Lebby yet. I don't know when we'll have the opportunity to do that, but the practice schedule will be finalized today, and they'll begin to set up some media availability for us, and I suspect that over the course of the next month that we'll have an opportunity to speak to Zach Arnett. At least I hope so. I know Zach may say, and here's the thing about Zach I don't think you guys realize. He doesn't really have a lot of ego. He really doesn't. This is a guy, and think about the fact that he's willing to come back here, a place where he was fired midseason by Zach Selman, to come back here, says what he feels about Starkville and about Mississippi State, kind of gives him a chance at a career reboot too. And the fact that Jeff Lebby wants him makes me want him too. And he's getting a multi-year deal, so he's going to be here for a little while, be very expensive if we elect to move on from him. What really wasn't the case, I guess, back in 2023. But he's your guy now. And so it's time for us to kind of get behind him. And I think it says a lot about Jeff Lebby as well. Jeff Lebby is hiring his predecessor. Just like James Franklin is doing the same thing at Brent Pry. The difference is Pry and Franklin have a history together. But the thing that I'll say about Lebby is Lebby had to coach against Zach Arnett. Right? You guys remember that. I'm sure you do. Every bit of it. That's the thing that I think is important to understand. Jeff Lebby understands exactly how difficult it is to prepare for a Zach Arnett defense. This is a guy that had to spend a lot of time kind of getting prepared. And I think that's one of those things that maybe is kind of being undervalued in this. Jeff Lebby and Zach Arnett went head-to-head twice in 20 and 21. I don't know if you guys recall those games. I'm going to call them up for you too, just so you know. And you remember that Ole Miss team in 2020 was pretty good. It was. Kind of looking back at the game here, the Ole Miss wins that game 31-24. You may have forgotten, but they did. 31-24 is the difference in the game, but we also had a couple turnovers. Ole Miss jumped out 14-0, and State kind of rallied back there. It was 21-14 at the break, and then we both scored 10 points in the end. We had the ball throw into the end zone to try to finish this thing out. But, looking at team stats here, Ole Miss on the day ran for just 163 yards. Pretty good numbers, right? They did do a good job passing in that ball game, especially early on, and we kind of helped them a little bit with that big fumble, to open. But we did a good job slowing down a pretty good running attack. 2021, of course, Mississippi State wins that game. Last Egg Bowl that we've won. Excuse me. That was 2022. Pardon me. Ole Miss gets us 31-21. And, their second straight Egg Bowl win. And they've now won 3. Another reason why I'm glad that Lane Kiffin's gone. He got the better of us. And to suggest otherwise is to be disingenuous. But I'm excited that we have an opportunity now to put a guy out there that Jeff Lebby knows from a schematic standpoint. He's got direct knowledge of what it takes to prepare. And now we move forward. And again, I think it says a lot about Lebby and Arnett both as we do so. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle without any question, with no question whatsoever. So when you're looking to bring a large group to town, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse is there to serve you. Google the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and when you do, their Facebook page auto-populates, and you can peruse all the amenities available to you and your guests. That's the full-service kitchen, the wet bar, the back porch area, the fire pit area, 6 bedrooms, 2 soon-to-be 3 baths, and plenty of parking. That's always a big concern when you're getting together, right? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to have plenty of places to park, but you got plenty of places to sleep, plenty of places to recreate, plenty of places to visit. Now, when you Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, some booking options are going to pop up too. That's Airbnb, VRBO. You can go that route if you want to. You can. But what I would suggest is book through the Evolve website. And I'm going to give you some incentive to do so. Use promo code BSR10. That's BSR10. Get you 10% off your stay. Just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. If you're coming for a basketball doubleheader, maybe men one night, women the next, or coming for a football or baseball game weekend, they can accommodate you. We've stayed there. We stayed there for New Year's last year and had a blast. It's such a great place to stay. It's the old renovated country club clubhouse just out past the Highlands. I promise you, it's going to be a great time, without any question. The Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle, without any question. All right, receiving word that we should have Mississippi State football availability on Wednesday. We're going to run down tomorrow to the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star practices and see our guys down there. We'll get you pictures and interviews and all that good stuff. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have a ton of content to run throughout the rest of the week. But be a quick trip up and back. You never know. Might go ahead and run by Columbia High School. You never know. Just 30 minutes away. We'll see. We'll see if we can work that trip in. We'll see. But nevertheless, should have some football content for you on Wednesday. Now, Mississippi State men's basketball dropped another game last night. Bulldogs having some issues. 4-5 now in the non-conference. None of us expected that. None of us. And we're seeing some, some issues that are not truly indicative of a Chris Jans coach team. And I think a lot of that kind of starts with toughness. I just don't know how tough we have proven to be. Guys, we're down 8 at the break. We battle back a little bit. We win the second half, but lose by 3. And Josh Hubbard, of course, goes down in the ball game. And that's the last thing you need, right? Josh Hubbard played just 2 minutes in this ball game and scored just 3 points. 1 3-point basket made. And from there, State struggled. Jaden Epps, again, proving to be a very valuable Bulldog. 21 points, did his best to kind of carry the load. 34 minutes of action for him. 8 of 16 from the floor. He drilled home 5 threes. Also handed out an assist. Brandon Walker back in the starting lineup again. This 16 minutes there. 5 points for him. He pulled down 4 rebounds. Sean Jones Jr., 36 minutes. Primarily out there as a defender. Pulled down 7 rebounds. Had just 4 points. And Jamarian Davis Fleming back in there again, played 20 minutes, did not score, did get 5 rebounds. Jabari McGee off the bench, your best bench scorer with 13 points in 33 minutes of action. Serge Makura, 8 points for him in 20 minutes. Delquan Warren got in the game, handed out 5 points as well. Quincy Ballard, 21 minutes, just 2 points. We got to have Quincy step in. Core, just 4 points. This is a guy that was playing big minutes for us recently, not playing as much as of late. Amir Ali, 3 minutes and no points. But Bulldogs didn't shoot it real well in the first half. 26%, just 9 of 35 from the field. Second half picked it up, 53%, and 28% from beyond the arc. Part of the deal, free throws, again, not a tough. We didn't get to the line much, but just 2 of 8 from the free throw line. On the other side of things, the Dons shot 42.5%. 24 from beyond the arc, and made 60% of their free throws. They didn't get to the line much either, but just 6 of 10 there. But, things are not great in basketball. And, Chris Jans said in postgame, too, that he's got some guys he just doesn't trust right now to put them in a rotation. So the depth isn't what it needs to be. And that's the challenge at times. When you have a lot of people come in from the portal, it takes a while to develop some chemistry. I'm not ready to give up on this team, but like many of you, I'm very concerned. Bulldogs will have the midweek off and will head to Salt Lake City, Utah to play the Utes this Saturday. That's going to be a 9 p.m. tip local time. We'll be back in Humphrey Coliseum on Tuesday, December the 16th. But, we'll talk a little bit more about that game against Utah later in the week. But, man, you talk about a must-win. And there's fans out there already starting to see some people out there talking about firing Chris Jans. Absolutely not. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, you look at what the guy's done. If anybody is entitled to a mulligan every now and again, it's Chris Jans. So, no, not going to happen. Ladies win again. Ladies now 9-1 on the year. Won 5 in a row. We talked about State should be able to handle Pitt and Charlotte. They did without much trouble. Obviously, you win the ACC Challenge. We talked a little bit about that on Friday. And then 30-point win against the Lady 49ers. Kind of figuring some things out here. One of the things that I like about this Mississippi State women's team is we come out ready to play. Right? First quarter, you win at 24-15, then you get a 21-14 halftime, a 21-14 second period to get you to halftime with a 45-29 lead. And from there, State just kind of nursed it along and win by 30. State won every period in this ball game. We talked about Princess Anderson and Zoe Best. Both of them got their part, but from outside of that, it was pretty thin. Bulldogs hold the Lady 49ers to 33% shooting. They attempted just 9 3-point baskets, 21 3-point baskets, 9 in the fourth quarter, 7 of 21, and 8 of 14 from the free throws. Destiny McFall leads a wide array of double-digit scores. Destiny with 16 points, Favor Nwadazi with 16 points, Madison Francis with 14, Chandler Prater with 14, Treyana Crisp with 11, and then Jayla Lampley with a dozen. So 6 Bulldogs in double figures, all 5 starters. It appears this team is kind of really rounding into form. Chandler Prater also had 13 rebounds. Favor Nwadazi with 11. Bulldogs obviously getting on the glass, had 51 rebounds in the game against just 37 for Charlotte. And that really makes a difference. A lot of second chance points, opportunities. Bulldogs cash in on 19 of those and had 18 off the bench. But for the most part, it was Mississippi State throughout. So again, great start for the ladies. Get a real task coming up on Sunday in Humphrey Coliseum. We need you to be there. As Missy Bilderback, the bride of state championship winning coach Chip Bilderback, will bring the Lady Golden Eagles to Humphrey Coliseum. That is a 2 o'clock tip. We will get deeper into that matchup on the Friday show to kind of prepare you. But, Missy, obviously a Southern Miss alum, and so it made a lot of sense for them to hire her, in addition to the fact that she's an outstanding women's coach. And we're happy to have Chip back in Columbia High School. But 7-3 are the Golden Eagles, and they've won 1 in a row. But again, we'll break that down more this weekend. So it's going to be a real challenge, and you and I both know Coach Bilderback and that Southern Miss staff are going to really be in their ears about recruiting and things of that nature to kind of make sure that they're ready to go. Yeah, that's an important aspect of this. We're going to get a team that we think will make the NCAA tournament and challenge for their conference championship in Humphrey Coliseum. So we need a big crowd to turn out and be a part of that. All right, before we get out of here, I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the high school state championships over the weekend. And, man, what a great event. The MHSAA does a great job with every bit of that. It's really a big deal, and they do such a great job with every bit of that. Absolutely, without any question. But, yeah, pretty interesting weekend, as we talked about. We'll go back to, I guess let's start with, we talked on Friday about what happened Thursday night. But Friday, of course, Columbia High School gets by Kosciuszko 6-0. Trey Lewis scores the only points of the game with about 14 seconds left. Kind of just a destiny drive. And, man, this is two really tough teams. Columbia was just about a hair tougher. I mean, that's what it boiled down to. I mean, even that last play, I mean, Trey Lewis had to just kind of power through a tackle at the goal line. I can't say enough about what a great job that Coach Bilderback has done and the staff at Kosciuszko. I mean, offensively, it wasn't what anybody expected. I thought it would be, maybe a 16-13 type game or something like that, maybe a game in the teens. Caden Wade, obviously a very good player at Kosciuszko, just couldn't get anything going. And part of that's because Kosciuszko was their top receiver, missed the game due to an injury suffered in the North Half State Championship. So congratulations to the Whippets on a great season, and congratulations to the Wildcats as well. And then we get into the evening game, and Warren Central and Hattiesburg. Now, when I saw Hattiesburg out there initially, just watching them run around and how quick they were to the spot, I wondered if Warren Central would have the athletes to compete over 4 quarters. Well, did they ever? And I don't know that anybody helped their recruiting stock more than Warren Central quarterback Nash Morgan. He is the son of Mississippi State, former safety Josh Morgan. I think Nash probably becomes a safety too, but man, this kid is tough. He is tough. And he basically willed this team along. They absolutely blow out Hattiesburg in this game. And one of those things you just kind of look back and you kind of marvel at a little bit. Warren Central 56-34. And we wrote in the preview, Warren Central defenses have been good historically. I mean, they beat Cam Akers and Clinton a few years ago because Josh cooked up a good scheme. But I never would have expected 56 points from the Warren Central offense in this game. And again, a lot of that comes because of Nash Morgan. But a great job for everybody involved. We get into Saturday's action, and it's Raleigh and Noxubee County. And Raleigh kind of got going early. Noxubee County, it took them a little while to kind of figure some things out. That front from Raleigh is legitimate. They truly are. I have not seen many teams really go head-to-head with Noxubee County in the trenches and win, but they did. Now, this isn't the best Noxubee County team that we've seen in recent years. They don't have the same offensive pieces without Kamario Taylor, and how could they? But Jaden Taylor played some at quarterback, made a couple big catches, but down 12-0, they go for it on 4th down, and there's a face mask called. I mean, and it was obvious one against Jaden Taylor. That extends the drive, and then Jaden off the left side runs through a couple tackles and then powers through right around the 10-yard line to get into the end zone to make it 12-6. They attempt the extra point. It's no good. And then late in the game, Noxubee puts together this late, what felt like a destiny drive, and they couldn't get in. My honest opinion, I thought, hey, when I under 2 minutes to play and I got a couple timeouts to work with, I'm going to make sure Jaden Taylor touches it every play. They didn't. But Jaden Taylor did touch it on the final play, and Raleigh was just too tough. The Lions did a great job getting out there. Get Perkins, linebacker of Ole Miss, was there in attendance to kind of rally the troops. So Raleigh wins at 12-6. You're 3A state champions. But, man, you know the Tigers are going to be back. Raleigh now has their 2nd state championship. Noxubee, of course, has had a string of them. But, man, it's been a stretch here where they've been able to get there and not get over the threshold. It'll be an interesting look at that team next year. Much different look. We get into the Saturday afternoon game, Heidelberg versus East Webster. And a lot of you are from the area. You know East Webster football well. Ron Price, man, what a great guy. When I first began doing combines in Tupelo, Ron Price is one of the first people that reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like my kids to be part of this. I'm happy to help you coach. And he did. And he has been my friend ever since. And, I had the opportunity to kind of get out there and get to know him a little bit. And there are not many people that I hold in higher esteem than Ron Price. What that man and his family have endured over the years, years ago, man, his wife was killed, and it's just one of those things that we saw a community rally around him and the family. And Ron kind of starts over, goes to East Webster, and leads them to their first ever state championship. And Cross Avent was one of the stars of that game, had the big kind of game-clinching touchdown, and to see Ron go embrace him, I know what that moment meant, and I had to go up and offer him my congratulations. And he just grabs me and bear hugs me, man. And he is just a tremendous person. And I know we got a lot of people that live out there in Matheson that love Wolverine football, and they finally have a football state championship to celebrate. Daryl Carter, another guy that was involved with the Tupelo Combines for years. He was my wide receiver coach at the Combines. At that time was the Tupelo wide receiver coach. He has built a great program in Heidelberg, which has the best wards in the state, I believe. But went over and shook Daryl's hand, very gracious in defeat. And the Oilers will be back. They have Chase Kraft, a very dynamic quarterback who was Mr. Football for that classification. But, man, what a great game. And, man, it's just so good to see so many communities have a chance to celebrate something special. But the final game of the weekend was probably the most anticipated game of the state championships. I mean, for fans of high school football around the state, everybody wanted to see Tupelo and Gulfport go head-to-head. We talked about that in our preview, that you're going to see two big-time Mississippi State commitments. And they put on a show. So Cooper Crosby and Gulfport, they get the win. Cooper with a couple touchdowns, J.J. Hill with a couple touchdowns. And, man, Tupelo, what a great program. They've been dominant throughout the year. And one of the things that I would point out, too, the Hail Mary to end it. Give the quarterback there, Parker Nettles, a lot of credit for getting it there. Right? In that situation, there's so many guys you see that get a little elevated emotionally and throw it too far, or they panic. What poise that young man showed, and I don't know that has been trumpeted enough. It's a special moment, the first state championship in Gulfport history, the Hail Mary, it gets batted up, and the catch is secured, and now you know, right? Extra point wins it, and man, good job by the kicker there, a lot of pressure on him. I don't know that you want to go to overtime with Tupelo, but I actually left early in this ball game and kind of kept up with it once I got home. But what an incredible finish. What a classic game. And for Gulfport to win in such fashion, nobody will ever forget that. And it's weird to think Gulfport had never won a state championship. And some people are like, well, they won the big game. It's not a state championship. Now you've got one. How incredible is that? And, man, got a chance to meet Coach Pennick earlier this year, and I went down to watch Gulfport play St. Martin. A chance to visit with him briefly before the game. And the thing that I would say is we are doing such a good job in this state of playing a better brand of football. Now, you look at a couple of these ball games and you say, well, Steve, offensively, they weren't great. Some other games defensively, they weren't great. I mean, really the only blowout is Warren Central over Hattiesburg. And Hattiesburg certainly has athletes, right? But it used to be a situation where we'd get in these state championship games and like the team that made the big mistake lost because things are so evenly situated. But if you love high school football, I don't care where the state championships are next year, you need to go. You need to go and be a part of that. You need to go and support your local community if they are playing for something of significance. I can tell you the celebrations that we saw at Davis Wade Stadium on the field and in the stands were very special to be a part of. And I have so many people that ask me, Steve, why do you continue to do cover recruiting and go see the high school kids play? Surely you can pay somebody to do that. That's true. But then I would miss out on all the fun, right? I mean, yeah, I could just have Rion and Jacob go do that stuff, but I loved being able to be there to see my high school win, but to see your high school win and to see the kids from your community play and to be able to write about them intelligently because I've had a chance to see them play in person. And there's just the emotion and the atmosphere, It's just it's one of those pretty crazy things, right? Like to see schools like Gulfport and East Webster, win their first state championship. I mean, it's like East Webster's been there in other sports, and I can tell you that community is so incredibly proud of that school. They take a lot of pride in that school. And to see them have a chance and to see Ron Price, such a great guy, be able to win a state championship means a lot to me. He's been great to me over the years. And not just about promoting his own kids. Like I've asked him before, who in the district or, and who in the area, who in the north half. He's always been so willing to share because he wants to see our Mississippi student athletes all have an opportunity to do something of significance. And I think that's where we have made some great strides as a state when it comes to high school football. Is we got a lot of people kind of looking out for our young people. And what a weird and crazy year it was. We had those shootings where tragically some people lost their lives at a football game, some after a football game. We had some stuff that happened on some college campuses, and people were beginning to wonder, is this safe? Well, it turns out that it was. And I think we've overcome the anomaly, and we ended up having a very successful high school season around the great state of Mississippi. And I can't wait to go cover it all again next year. All right, let's wrap it up, man. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. Again, it's kind of a thinner week this week when it comes to the basketball schedule, but we will have some football content, of course, heading down to Hattiesburg for Mississippi-Alabama practices, and we'll have some content from that as well. So we're going to keep you busy. We'll have you plenty to read, and then pretty soon we'll be getting regular media availability as we begin to prepare for the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina. And appreciate you guys so much. For those of you that have been frequenting True Rest Float Spot, thank you very much. She is selling dozens of these float specials as Christmas gifts. Many of you will be floating in the new year. You don't have to wait, though. You can take advantage of that. Those packages, that buy one, get one BOGO thing, is it's good for 6 months. It's like you don't have to buy it and then use it immediately. You can use it for 6 months. I'd encourage you to go ahead and do it because I think you're going to benefit from it. But I'm floating today, as a matter of fact. But dial 662-268-7601. You can speak directly to my lovely wife, Dana. If you can't remember the number, just Google True Rest Float Spa of Starkville. And you can get her on the phone. She can answer your questions. And, it's been a very, very successful run here with these sales. And we think it's not just about that. It's about making Starkville and Mississippi a better place, a more relaxed, more at ease place. You got chronic anxiety or pain, we may be able to help you. We've helped many others. Check it out today at TrueRest.com. Come join us over at JeansPage.com. We're running a 50% off special. Give the gift of Jeans Page to the Mississippi State fan in your life, and you can get it for 50% off. Yeah, 50% off the annual subscription price. It's going to run throughout the month of December. And, hey, go to DirtyNobleBook.com. You get signed copies of all my sports titles and the personal memoir, When the Bottom Falls. So we're doing what we can to make your Christmas shopping easy, and we'd love for you to partner with us in making the people in your life happier. Whether it be signed books or a subscription to Jeans Page or a float package, we got some options for you. Think outside the box. And guys, it's not just about flannel shirts and socks, okay? Let's just be cute about it and be smart about it and love on each other. Be back with you on Wednesday, but until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies and people can see a difference in the way we live.